Okay, Casper, the war in the Ukraine, unfortunately, also this week has not come to an end. That has impact on many, many different industries. We discussed quite a few of them, but one of them we haven't discussed, not related to the war, and we haven't discussed also in the last 2.5 years when we were doing the market reports. And that industry is?
The diamond sector.
Diamond sector of industry.
Both.
I say industry because it's here.
Okay.
But that's for the people. You're going to tell us everything about it, why it is so interesting or fascinating what is happening in the diamond sector at the moment.
Yeah, and I want to, you're going to talk about what happened on the market shortly, but I want to say, why was it in the news? Not that broad, but I saw it because the biggest producer of rough diamonds in the world is a Russian company.
Yeah.
And there is a ban on it, but they have also a cooperation with a company of Putin himself. I'm going to talk about that later.
And what is that company doing? We're going to talk about that later.
We're going to talk about
first
that later.
What happened in the stock market. Quick overview. We haven't had a quiet week. I think the market didn't move as much as the weeks before. Almost 1% up for the S&P 500 at the moment. We had on Wednesday Powell. He announced that he is willing to raise the interest even with bigger steps instead of 0.25% a time, even maybe 0.5% a time. You asked me before, do I think that it's a good thing? Yes, I think it is, because that's the only thing he can do.
And should do.
Yeah. With regards to China, last week we discussed, I explained everybody why they should change their listings of, they cannot change the listing, the holdings of the US market to the Hong Kong market. This week again, we saw in the session yesterday that the Chinese stocks are under pressure because of this fact. So if you have not done it, just sell the US stocks, buy the Hong Kong stocks if you want to keep exposure.
Or look at our previous video of you where you explained exactly how it works last week.
That's what you also do, of course. And that was, I think, was it.
Yeah, well, you said quiet week. So the diamond sector, on the 11th of March, Biden announced a new round of sanctions, and one of them was the import of Russian diamonds into the US. Mm-hmm. And that has no effect because there are no diamonds hardly no diamonds from Russia going to the US. What I said, the biggest company in the world of rough diamonds that they produce is Alros, and they are good for almost 1/3 of all the rough diamonds. And we have a nice overview. It's there. We put it in the screen, and then you show that they are the biggest. The Beers are the number 2, and the Rio Tinto, for example, is number 4. So that they produce rough diamonds, and almost all the rough diamonds are cut in India. Only some big stones are going directly to the US and some to Europe. So 90% of all the diamonds are cut in India. You saw that also in the beginning of the Corona crisis, that tens of thousands of people in India were fired because they were working in that industry. Later, they had to get them back very fast because during the Corona crisis of 2 years, the demand of diamonds increased a lot. A lot of luxury products were in demand, and diamonds were one of them. So they recovered, and they were strongly the last 2 years. That was for the rough prices and for the cut prices.
Correct.
Okay, so that company, what I said in the beginning, that's not the only thing they do, because they have a cooperation since 1 year with a company. And that company is called Rosatom, and that's a company set up by Vladimir Putin, and they produce nuclear weapons.
Yeah, so that is a big thing.
Yeah.
You could say that the diamond industry is financing Putin's weapons.
Yeah. So it's quite a thing, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening more? The rough diamonds, 90% around of all the rough diamonds are traded in Antwerp. Yeah. That's in Belgium. So there are discussions in Europe, in Belgium, should we directly also put a ban on rough Russian diamonds? Now, what will happen? It's a more easier product to transport than, for example, gas. Yeah. Because China, there are rumors that China will import gas in the future from Russia, but you have to install all kind of big pipelines. That's differently with diamonds. They're small, you can transport them very easy. And already people from Israel, people from India itself knocked on the door with Russia and they said, if there will be a ban on rough diamonds in Antwerp, we will help you out and we will. So that's a really difficult discussion for Belgium. And if you look at the total export of Belgium, 5% is coming from the diamond sector. So it has an impact. It will have an impact for Belgium itself.
It's similar to oil. A sort of similar reaction. We can't do it because then they will bring themselves.
And they say, Belgium should do that. Okay, do we in Europe import still gas and oil from Russia? Yeah, we do it. Yeah. So why is there a difference with diamonds? No. Okay. If you look at the diamonds, if they are coming out of the ground, they get a certain kind of certificate. It's called the Kimberley process. So you can always see with a rough diamond where it's coming from. If you want to hurt that company, Aros, then you have to you have to make an agreement that they don't get the certificates anymore for the rough diamonds. Because the rough diamonds, what I said, are going to India, they're cut, and then they will send all around the world, and then they don't have a certificate
of origin. They become valueless.
Yeah.
Worthless, no, is the right, valueless. Waardeloos, it's in Netherlands, but it's...
Yeah, because if you buy a diamond in a shop, you get a certificate with how good it is, how big it is, but you don't get a certificate where it's coming from.
No.
Because that stops when it's cut in India.
Yeah.
So if you want to do about it, you have to do something about that certificate. For example, there are companies like Tiffany & Co. If you buy a diamond over there in a ring, then they show the whole process
where it comes from.
Yeah, where it comes from. So there are already companies. So there is also possible that the public will say, okay, I don't want to have any Russian diamonds anymore.
No.
So they will ask the industry to provide that information.
Yeah.
And then that's also possible. Okay, now if you look at, first of all, I thought when I saw this, and I read the ban from Biden on the 11th of March, okay, this will, the prices of diamonds will increase because, so first of all, not yet, because the diamonds still have their roots.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have any impact, that ban. The prices of diamonds went up the last 2 years during the Corona crisis, and we have still the high inflation.
Yeah,
and if the high inflation will stay for the midterm, what will happen? We have less spending power, and if we have less spending power, we will spend less on luxury items like your Louis Vuitton bag and diamonds. So the market is thinking that there is even more a pressure on those companies, and there are no ETFs that you can invest in Europe. There is one ETF
in Vietnam.
Vietnam, listed in Vietnam.
We don't have connection to that market.
There are some companies like Gem Diamonds, and it's the price on the stock market increased since the war, but the outlook is not that good, and that's mainly due to the high inflation and what I just said. That's also for Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is a big mining company. They also have mines in other sectors, so it's difficult to compare. And you have what you see. You have small companies, small like a market value of around 50 million euros. Like Lucapa Diamond Company and Mountain Province Diamonds, also in England. Most of them are trading in the UK, and they have better outlooks. But that is really, really dangerous because they have small companies. If it goes well, it's more like gambling.
Yeah, it's like gambling.
Yeah. So to wrap up, there is the biggest player in the world is a Russian producer.
Yeah.
There are some bans, but they are not effective.
No.
It's really interesting what will happen if there will be a ban on those in Europe. Of course, then it will affect the market. But if not, maybe the market even will go down due to the high inflation and the spending power of the people. So it's an interesting market. The last thing I want to say, around 4 or 5 billion of export is related to diamonds of Russia. So it's also not that big compared to oil of gas. So. Yeah, I hope it gave you some insight in the industry, and maybe you want to do it.
I think the biggest pusher then you're gonna end, but is the Rosatom story. I think that is really like mind blowing. The biggest diamond producer in the world is financing now these weapons.
Yeah, and they will say, of course, we do it for energy.
Yeah,
but
what they say and what they do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. Give us your thumb, please, and
do so.
Hope to see you next week. Bye bye.